You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the earliest things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys being here. As always, for 16 years and over 2,200 episodes, going on 2,300, we've been bringing you the CEOs, the billionaires, the White House president's advisors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, all the smartest people sharing their journeys, their lessons in life, their cathartic moments, and how they've developed the blueprints for you can improve the quality of your life, make it better, and everything else. Or not. I mean, you don't have to follow what they say. You can just say, fuck it, and I'm just going to do whatever I want. But you probably will get those kind of results. You get, what is it, the fuck around and find out? Is that what these kids say nowadays? So go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one, the TikTok, and Chris Voss, Facebook.com. Today we have an amazing young lady on the show. Maddison Sutton joins us. She is a certified integrative, am I saying that right?
Integrative.
I flunked second grade, evidently. Certified integrative health and wellness coach and functional diagnostics and nutrition practitioner who helps busy women reclaim their health, energy, and confidence. Specializes in stress management, hormone health, and preconception wellness. She empowers women to take proactive control over their well-being, creating sustainable, vibrant lives. Her mission is to inspire others to align their health with their ambitions and embrace lifelong wellness. Welcome to the show, Maddison. How are you?
Thank you. I am doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, if I can figure out how to spell integrative.
I am not a good speller. I also almost failed first and second grade, so I'm dyslexic. So you have
Oh, really? We always use that as a callback on the joke that I flunked second grade because, you know, it's hard to flunk second grade or first grade for that matter.
Not if you can't read.
That's true. So give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, you can find me at wellwithmaddison.com, and that's Maddison with 2 Ds.
So give us a 30,000 overview of what you do there.
Yeah, so I am an integrative health coach and a functional diagnostics and nutrition practitioner. I support women in taking control of their health. That's my big mission, is to make sure that women always feel like their health is within their hands, whether it's weight gain, acne, stomach issues, or something more severe like a chronic condition or an autoimmune condition.
I heard that, what was that saying I saw on TikTok the other day? When you're not in the hospital or let's see, when you're in the world, you have a lot of problems, but when you get in the hospital or find that you have health problems, you have one problem. That was kind of the gist of it. All your problems kind of come down to nothing when you have a health problem because, you know, then sometimes, especially if it's life or death. But what are some of the challenges you find women are struggling with? Is it, you mentioned hormones, you mentioned, you know, there's a lot of stress women are under, single moms are under, trying to keep a household down. What are a lot of women experiencing that you see in your counseling?
Yeah. I think the biggest and most concerning thing that I see right now, I'm in my early 30s. I see a lot of women my age and a little bit younger struggling to get pregnant.
Oh.
And that is a big thing. One of my best friends is dealing with it right now. Almost all of my friends that are trying to have babies are preparing really before they want to get pregnant because they're so afraid that they won't be able to get pregnant. And so that's something that I think is massive. And I think a lot of it is due to stress from jobs and that leading to poor health or, you know, food choices. But that's a big thing that I'm seeing.
Is it because they're in their 30s, or is it more the stress? Do you find is it because I know that the older a woman gets, the harder it can be to get pregnant. Sometimes the eggs aren't quite as good. This is one of the reasons that, we've always been like, hey, youth is highly vaulted. Is it that age thing that's being an impact?
Probably in some. I think that the genetics does play a part in that.
Oh.
But I think, when we're talking 30, 29, 30, 31, 32, there's plenty of women in older generations that have had kids at 38, 39, 40, but infertility rates are rising in younger women. So I don't think it's the age. I think it is decline in health.
Decline in health. And they're, women are working now more than ever. They're in the workforce now more than ever. They, many people are, like I mentioned, holding down head of household. There's a lot more stress now with inflation. Eggs are, it's January 2025, folks, if you're watching this years from now, but eggs are like $15 per carton right now, and it doesn't seem like there's an end to the sight. So I imagine, inflation, I talked to, there was someone that I took out a while ago, and they were talking about how inflation wiped out all of their child support and alimony that used to pay the bills. And so, there's that. The high stress job environment, people getting laid off now, people having trouble looking for work. I'm sure that's a factor. And it's kind of a stressful world we live in, basically, right now. One of the things talk to us about how you got in this field. What made you a proponent for this? Was it a personal experience in your life that you were struggling with that made you want to do this work?
Yeah, I think that there was two primary pushes that got me where I am today. The first was when I was younger, I was dating somebody that developed an autoimmune condition. And that really brought me into this holistic space. That's what prompted me to get my certification and coaching and just kind of explore that more deeply, bring it into my own life. And then my father was diagnosed with cancer. He ended up passing from cancer. And that was really my push to leave the corporate space. I was like, this is something I believe in. This is something I'm passionate about. And now it's really experienced me personally, or it impacted me personally.
Yeah. Cancer's an evil thing, man. It is. It is my biggest enemy. I hate cancer. I've never had it yet, but I've lost dogs to it. It's just evil, man. It's just evil how destructive it is. So one of the things you talk about is reclaiming their health, their energy. I know, and I think food was a factor in here, how you eat, how you support your health and wellness in that factor. Talk to us about some of the things you work with people in that way to make sure that they're eating right and managing, what they're putting in their mouth.
Yeah. I'm completely holistic. So I'm not prescribing medication or anything like that. I work with diet, rest, exercise, stress, and some supplementation depending on the person. So I believe that the majority of our issues are stress related. But stress doesn't necessarily mean mental and emotional stress. It's stress you put on your body through eating the wrong foods, not sleeping well, eating foods that might not be right for you. So a lot of what I do in my practice is I look at somebody and their life, what makes them unique, genetically, what's their makeup. Your diet and what you need might not be the same as my diet and what I need. So it's doing a lot of investigation into what will actually work for that person. And it's a lot of diet and lifestyle change. That's just truthfully what it is. And that's where a lot of us miss the mark. There's a lot of health information out there and we're all trying to do our best, but a lot of us are just kind of guessing at health, guessing at the right diet, guessing at the right exercise. And again, living very stressful lives. So a large part of it is how can we remove stress from your life? How can we make wellness more of a way of living instead of an afterthought?
Yeah. And you're what's categorized as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner.
Yes.
To help with guides wellness and stuff. Our gut, we've talked about this a lot on the show ad nauseum. Your gut is your second brain, they like to call it. And, if you're if you've got toxification, you've got a compromised immune system, if you've got gut leakage, I think they call it, if you're eating crap foods, you're not going to sleep well. I've done that, bad eating late at night, some sort of greasy food, and then you go to bed and you just got rock gut in the middle of the night where it's just sitting there rotting, and you're just like, oh God, why did I eat that? And then if it impacts your sleep, if it impacts your energy, I gave up drinking, what was it, in 2020 during COVID. I just got tired of feeling the energy drain. I just started listening to my body, and I was eating better too. And I could just feel it for like 3 days. I was having this drag where I'd get bloated from, your body tries to overcompensate by holding more water, and then it has to get rid of that after a couple of days when it's like, okay, well, he's not drinking every day. And just seeing the energy difference in, what I was putting in my body, I started eating more fresh local foods I get from a local farm and stuff. And the difference in how you feel from what you put in your mouth and you put in your gut, it just makes all the difference in the world, in your energy, your focus, just feeling complete. The older you get too, the worse it gets, where you're just constantly fighting just to stay alive. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, it's so true. And I mean, it's funny which things impact different people. For me, it's sleep. I certainly drank a lot in my 20s. I was doing everything else right. I was eating right, like I was exercising, but I was drinking a lot. And it impacted my sleep so much. That's definitely something that I have cut out significantly, only on special occasions. And as I get older, it's just like, it's not worth it because I know how much it impacts my sleep. So yeah, all of those things are so connected. I love that, like, you kind of saw that, listened to your body. I think for a lot of people, that's hard to do because you don't really know what's causing the issues. I was with some friends recently, and we were all talking about sleep, actually. And there were probably half of the group all raised their hand. They were like, I have trouble sleeping. I can't sleep. I can't go to sleep. I can't stay asleep. And so many people don't know how much alcohol impacts your sleep quality, and how what you eat impacts your sleep quality, and how much sleep really impacts your overall health. Sleep is the one thing that I really build my wellness routine around. It's something that I really encourage clients to build their wellness routine around, because there is nothing that sleep does not heal or really help cure if you are struggling with some sort of issue.
Yeah, sleep is, it's the great time to repair, and you got to get good sleep. You got to monitor it and everything else. One thing you talk about on your website is PMS, hormone imbalance. Imagine women's cycles and stuff are an issue for helping them balance their health. I've always been amazed at how many of my women I've dated or girlfriends don't track that sort of stuff. They don't track their cycles and the periods and stuff. And to me, that's kind of really important to know how your body's, functioning, especially when you kind of have a lifelong habit of this thing once a month. I don't know if you want to talk about some of that and how important it is to maybe track that, or maybe, how you eat and it can affect, your experience there, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I think, and just kind of thinking back to when I got on birth control when I was younger, being put on birth control at a young age, which most women are, why do you need to track your cycle? Like you don't have one. It's kind of it's taking out the guesswork. You don't need to worry about getting pregnant really, or as much, assuming you're taking it correctly. You don't actually have like that true cycle. You don't ovulate. So most women, until they actually try to get pregnant and they get off of birth control, they don't even know that there's like a fertility window, and there's a specific time of the month in which you're more likely to get pregnant than others. Like, that is news to probably 80 to 90% of women, which is kind of wild if you think about it.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times where I've had conversations with my girlfriends. I'm like, this is your body, and I know more about what's going on than you do. I mean, kind of. It's like I at least know when you're PMSing. So,
Yeah.
and it's important because the experience that you have mixed with the diet you have can affect a lot of different things. And of course, to me, I just like to know. Like I just like to know, what I'm gonna. I mean, wish somebody'd schedule a bad day with me so I could just be like, well, it's on the schedule. That's gonna be not the fun day, but at least I see it coming. I like it. Prepare for it or something. But yeah, it's something, women worry about a lot of stuff. They're kind of designed that way as mothers and as nurturers. I think they think about a lot of things and everything, and it's a feature, not a bug. But it can be overwhelming in today's society where, people can get depression from just too much stimuli. I know, do you ever get into meditation at all with your clients? Is that a part of your work that you do?
I do. I am a really big believer in mindfulness. I think some health coaches really focus so much on like the fitness aspect or the diet aspect. And while I like to bring all of those in, I think where I focus the most is actually on the mindfulness, the self-care, the rest, and the stress reduction. So a technique that I always push is meditation, probably more journaling, actually. More than meditation. Maybe that's a personal thing. I've just always found a lot of benefit in journaling, and so many people struggle with meditation. They just can't really relax with that. I think it's definitely a practice. It's something you have to really try at, but meditation is huge. I think, and if you can't meditate, just taking, 10 minutes a day to be by yourself. Like to be in peace. I know for moms, that's so hard to do. But I really encourage scheduling time, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, where it's just you with your thoughts and just allowing some quiet time and some journaling, some reading, or some meditation and breathing.
Yeah. Having that peace and kind of shutting that mind down for a little while, getting control of the thoughts and kind of, learning to do breath. I know breath's important too, and like trauma work and some of the ways we retain different pain and issues that we have in the body and stuff can be a part of that as well. So how do you work with your clients? I notice there's a few things with calls and coaching services where you do lab testing and wellness coaching, health and wellness coaching. You've got an offer on your website too of a 30-day guide. Tell us about some of these offers you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So my primary goal with most of my clients is to really uncover people call it root cause a lot, but basically what's causing imbalance in the body. So my foundational coaching program is really about doing my foundational labs. I run labs for stress, hormones, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and nervous system. And I specifically run those labs because those labs are ones that can pinpoint areas in the body that are not functioning correctly that lead to metabolic dysfunction, which is really what causes so much of the chronic symptoms and chronic issues that 60% of the US is facing today.
Yeah.
So that's primarily what I do. I do that lab testing, and then I will work with a client to create a 6-month coaching program based off of those lab tests. I'm a big believer in education. I do a lot of hand holding. It is very important to me that once somebody works for me, they don't need to work with somebody else. I want them to leave feeling educated and understanding their body and understanding how to pivot as they age and things change. So that is a very detailed, kind of in-depth training and coaching program that I do with my clients. And that's primarily what I do. I also have a group coaching program. It's called Rooted in Wellness. And that's really designed to be more of a community. So many people come to me and they're like, I don't want to do the lab test. I really just want accountability. And so that's kind of the route for women that just want the accountability. They want to kind of start or dip their feet into the health space. So that's a great place for them to start.
Yeah, accountability is really important. When I lost 100 pounds, I was using Facebook as an accountability thing, and I would post every day. I was doing intermittent fasting, and I would post my scale weights every day. And boy, that helped keep me on track, because sometimes I'd be like sitting at home going, I'd really like an In-N-Out burger. And then you're like, no, you have this habit of doing the accountability thing of posting your weight. And so people are probably going to see you were up to something, if not today, tomorrow, maybe, but showing on the scale. And so it helped keep me really honest. I did the same thing with writing my book, an accountability group and stuff. So accountability support can really help you keep on track, because you're like, someone's, going to be watching over your shoulder, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, what did you eat? What did you eat last night? Oh, I went to the Taco Bell buffet. Don't do that, people. But it can affect them. But having some sort of support things, having someone you can talk to, makes a difference, because sometimes when we're left to our own mechanisms and our own little evil minds, we're just like, I'll just sneak that Snickers bar at him, and no one notices.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you work with people on a daily basis, a weekly basis in that sort of case, or how does that scenario play out?
Yeah. I normally meet with clients twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
The first month's a little bit more in depth, because I do some really kind of deep health history. I like to really investigate what's going on. So we'll meet probably once a week for the first month, and then it's bi-monthly after that.
All right, then. The wellness checkup is really important, too. Does it include blood work? What sort of wellness tests do you do?
So it's the 5 functional labs. Stress and hormone is one lab, digestion. So I do like a GI map, looking at bacteria in the gut, kind of trying to understand, are there any like nasty guys in there? What does the balance look like between the good and the bad bacteria? Testing liver function, how well is your liver, getting rid of what it needs to? Is it backed up? Testing for leaky gut. That was something that you mentioned a little bit earlier. That's something that is heavily impacted by food sensitivities and stress. So testing for leaky gut, inflammation in the body. Honestly, I think one of the biggest is testing hormones and stress, especially when I'm working with busy women. Hormones and hormones being off balance is what causes weight gain. Or one of the things that causes weight gain. It causes sleep issues, acne, like the annoying things that people really don't like. So that's a big one.
What about estrogenics? Do you know that there's different chemicals that we have in our soaps and different things, and for men, they destroy testosterone. They create more estrogen in our systems. But for women, they've been making it so that women are having issues as well. So I think there's several different chemicals I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But basically, for some women, it's starting their periods at 9 years old. And it's having a huge effect because it's giving them like too much estrogen.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's a thing that's kind of an issue.
Absolutely. For so many people, we focus on diet, but a lot of the bad stuff that we are getting in our bodies is in like our laundry detergent and our soaps and our shampoo. And, there's no candles in my house, or at least not like the Bath and Body Works, candles and things like that. Those things impact your hormones significantly. Endocrine disruptors are a big deal. And when our bodies are faced or like kind of come into contact with those like fake hormones or things that mimic hormones, it really messes up the signals in your body. And it leads a lot of people to be an estrogen dominance, meaning like their ratio of estrogen to progesterone or estrogen to testosterone is not what it should be. That's what leads a lot of men to have low testosterone. It leads to a lot of muscle mass loss in bone density, loss in, libido in women as well. And then of course, weight gain. And we're seeing it in younger women when they're starting their periods, younger women that are having really heavy periods, and just really painful periods. And of course, infertility.
Yeah. It's really hard on women. I have vasectomy. So usually when I date women, they go off I have a relationship, they go off their birth control. And And they love being off their birth control. I mean, they're like, wow, I didn't realize how much this was mucking with my system. And then, if it doesn't work out, they end up having to go back on birth control because most men don't have vasectomies. And boy, it just screws with them. Like going back on birth control, they get hit hard. And I always feel bad for them. I'm just like, sorry. But I guess it depends on the birth control too. But some of these chemicals, yeah, they're really awful. I can't pronounce this right, phthalates, pesticides, herbicides that are in our things. I'm trying to think of the one. It's pro something that they have in a lot of shampoos and a lot of detergents. That nasty. My mom loves to put those things in her dryer, the wax things.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to make everything soft, but I didn't know. All they do is just cover everything in a wax. It's like nasty when you think about it. And when I started finding out about estrogenics and removing through my system, I remember one day I was using the estrogenic, the chemical free detergents and stuff in the shower and stuff, my soaps and my shampoos. And I remember one day I ran out and I was like, oh crap, I gotta go order some from Amazon. And I'm like, well, I'll use the old soaps and shampoos that I had. And I went and used them, and it felt like I had my hands covered. I dipped them in a wax, pulled it out. I mean, I couldn't get the craziness that was in the estrogenic products that I used to use off of my hands. My hair felt greasy and waxy. I just felt like everything had been coated in some sort of chemical wax. And I was like, holy shit, this is the way I used to live this way with these things. And yeah, I mean, I imagine women are even more susceptible to that with their periods and their hormones, some of the different crap that's in there. You mentioned the candles. To my understanding, like lavender is like one of the most poisonous sort of chemicals that they use. A lot of these waxes and candles will give off toxic chemicals. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm not sure about the lavender. I very much believe you.
Yeah.
But we do essential oils. That's what we do, is just diffuse essential oils. Fragrance is a huge one, probably very similar to what you experienced with the shampoo. Like if you start using detergent that doesn't have fragrance in it and then you go back, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so strong. Like, I don't know how I slept in these sheets before. Like I'm just like inhaling this like perfume. And it's really eye-opening once you switch from using that stuff. And then, if you like have to use it again, it's really shocking.
Yeah, I think there's safe lavender that you can get a hold of, but a lot of chemical lavender is like the worst. And like my mom loves all that stuff, so when I go to her house, I'll get sick. I'm just like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. Sometimes women will have a lot of perfumes and a lot of these things running around their house, and you'll just be like, oh my God, I just can't. This is mucking with me. And yeah, it's just insane how many people don't know, like candles are just a lot of them are bad for you, poorly made, and they're just burning this toxic crap in your house, and you're just like, oh my God. But yeah, it's really important. We had someone on who talked about estrogenics. There's books and authors about estrogenic diets and how these estrogenic foods and chemicals are making you sick. And that's why I'm moving to whole foods. I think you talked about that, moving to healthy foods, things that are rich in nutrients for your body, as opposed to just this chemical Frankenstein crap you get from McDonald's. It's just not good for you.
Yeah.
So anything more we haven't talked about we want to tease out to our audience? So we want to try and motivate people to pick up the phone or reach out on over email and get to know you better.
Yeah. Maybe the last thing that I'll really say here, I think a lot of people, when they think about health and wellness, they think about doing more. They think about adding in more, more to their fitness routine, getting up earlier, like almost working harder.
Mm-hmm.
And a big thing that I really believe in, especially if you're a person that's dealing with an autoimmune condition or some sort of chronic condition, is like, take your foot off the gas. And that's one of my biggest messages with my clients is, if you have a body that's fighting something, pushing harder is not always the right answer. So traditional like health and wellness, even though we want to lose the weight and, we want to do everything, it might not be the right answer for you. So I definitely encourage people that are going through those things, if they can't figure out what's going on, like reach out, work with a coach. That's what we're here for. But I think one of the biggest things is don't try to do what like the mainstream like health and wellness is telling you to do, because most likely what you need to do is really take care of yourself.
Yeah. And if you don't take care of yourself, mothers give a lot when they're nurturing, and they tend to, what's the old thing? Mothers eat last, or mothers eat leftovers. Mothers tend to spend a lot of time taking care of all of us, and they tend to neglect themselves. And you can't help somebody unless you help yourself. That's why they always say, but when the oxygen mask drops on the plane, take care of yourself first so you can take care of others. And that's really important, I think, for mothers who are nurturers and stuff, is to understand that you've got to take care of yourself first. You've got to make sure you're healthy. You've got to, you're in a healthy mindset, because when you're at your, when you stretch yourself thin where you can't go anymore, and you don't have your sleep, I can't function without sleep, man. If I can go 4 hours and then I got to catch a 4-hour nap, but if I go a couple days with 8 hours of sleep, like I can't function. Like,
I can't either.
Yeah, the older you get, the worse it is. In fact, it's midwinter right now. I need more like 16 hours of sleep. I'm ready to hibernate at this point. This winter's really getting to me. But yeah. So how can people reach out to you? How can they get to know you better, see if you're a fit in working together, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. If you want to learn more about me, probably the best way is to go to my website. I've got a lot of information there. You can set up a free consultation with me if you are interested in working together. It's really easy to just schedule a call. You can also sign up for my newsletter, which will give you access to my 30-day reset. That's a guide that I've put together for women. It's a free guide, and it's really for women that are looking to reduce stress, reclaim their energy, and really get back their health. I've put together just simple steps that I use to work with my clients, or kind of how I start working with my clients, because I think it's kind of a good practice for everybody. So that's really the best way, is just going to my website and reaching out from there.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, Maddison. Very insightful, and hopefully women take note and reach out to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Oh, and that should have us out, Maddison, within about 3 days.